And here I have about 2 pounds of fresh spinach that I simply wilted down and squeezed out the water. And now we want to puree this in a food processor. So I'm going to dump it right in there. And you want to really make sure that you get all that excess water out. Otherwise, you're going to be adding an awful lot of flour. So in a food processor, you just want to puree it up till it's nice and smooth. And that looks good, nice and green too. And then we're going to take this out and put it right into a bowl, because in Tuscany, gnocchi are made with spinach and ricotta cheese. So look at this gorgeous green color. Beautiful. And it's very dry, as you can see, and that's really important. Okay, so once you have the spinach, then you need to add the ricotta cheese. And for this, I'm using whole milk ricotta. If you didn't want to use that, you could use skim milk ricotta. And you want to drain that as well, because it tends to have a lot of water. So what I do is I put it in some cheesecloth, in a cheesecloth lined strainer like this. And that gets all the extra water out. You see that? So you want that to be fairly dry. So a pound of ricotta cheese, and that goes right in our bowl. Now we can get this out of the way. And we're going to flavor this with some mint and some other spices. So you want to mix this up. This looks good enough to eat just like this, doesn't it? Beautiful. You know, I don't know if you know this, but the word gnocchi means dumpling. And there are many kinds, as I started to tell you. In the north of Italy, you have pumpkin gnocchi. In the Rome area, you have semolina gnocchi. In Tuscany, you have spinach and ricotta gnocchi. So now you want to mix those eggs in really well. And I like to flavor this with some fresh mint leaves. So for this recipe, you want, about 12 beautiful looking mint leaves. And I went right over to my friend Donazia's garden and got mine. So here they are. And all we want to do is mince those up and put them into our mixture. Now when you make this up, you are going to have to refrigerate it, because this is going to be a little soupy to work with. So you could actually make this mixture up the day before, put it in the refrigerator, and then you'd be ready to go the next day. So get the mint really minced up. And I got to tell Donazia, she's got some pretty tough looking mint there. Okay, so that's enough. About 12 leaves go in. Mix it up well. And now we have to add some flour. And this is the tricky part. This is the tricky part. We want to add also some cheese. So about, I'd say a half a cup or so of some good pecorino cheese, or you could use a parmigiano if you want. And I like a little bit of white pepper in that as well. About a quarter of a teaspoon. Isn't this looking good? And it's looking fairly dry, so I know I'm not going to have to add too much flour. When you add the flour, do it slowly. So for this recipe, you want about 1 3/4 cups, but you may not use it all. So here's our flour. And I'm not going to add it all at once, maybe half, and mix it in. And when you form these, you're going to do them either on 2 soup spoons, or you could do it the old-fashioned way using a fork. Okay, we're going to leave that in there and work on the chilled ones. And here it is. Now look at this. Look at how nice this looks. Beautiful. And we're ready to form the gnocchi. Now to do that, you have to have 2 soup spoons ready, a little bit of extra flour if you need it, either on the board and on your spoon. And I'll show you 2 ways to do it. And you just gather up some of this and put it right on the spoon. You actually want it to take the shape of the bowl of the spoon, kind of like an oval shape. Use your hands. And then you can just slide it off into some flour. And that makes the shape of the gnocco. Or you could take the mixture with a little bit of flour on your hands, resisting the desire to add too much flour, and just form it in your hand, just like that, you see? Making sure that it has an oval shape. Now, before I do the other ones for you, I want to get the butter sauce ready. So we have 12 tablespoons of butter right here, and I'm going to put that into a small saucepan. 12 tablespoons of unsalted butter. We just want to melt that down. This is the sauce for this, and it's very easy. So the butter goes in, and with it, you want, about 10 fresh-looking sage leaves. Sage is one of those favorite herbs in all of Tuscany. So you want to add some sage leaves, about 10. So I'm going to add that into the butter. And once the butter is melted and the sage leaves are in, well then you can just turn the heat off and just leave it like that, because now the butter, the sage leaves will infuse the butter, and you'll be ready to serve this after the gnocco are cooked. You have to do it carefully. You can't just plop these into the water. You have to put them in gently because they're very, very fragile. So you get them in one at a time. I think they're ready. So now we can fish them out. And for that, you need to use a slotted spoon. And you want to have a platter ready to serve these on. So it's really important to get off all of that excess water.